We're going to be looking at a quadratic, a rational expression. With that rational expression, we need to be able to combine the fractions into one fraction. And there's a couple of ways to do this. It's really important to be organized when we look at this kind of problem. It's also really important to go step at a time. Don't try to do too much at one time. So the first thing to do is to decide on what the new denominator is going to be. And if we look at it, it's an algebraic expression. It's got x. It's not like finding a common denominator with numbers. So almost every time what you're going to do is you're simply going to multiply the two expressions together. In this case, we're going to look at one big fraction that's going to have the 3x minus 1 as one part and the x minus 2. So we're going to look right here. Basically, we're going to have these two pieces because they come right from this part. So I'll put them down there. We're going to make one big fraction. Well, in order to change, if I'm going to change this denominator into this one, I'm going to change this one to the same thing, then I have to change the top of my fractions in the same way that I change the bottoms of their fractions. So if the new fraction is going to have this as the denominator, I really have multiplied this first fraction by x minus 2. So what we end up doing is taking out multiplying the bottom by the thing and the top. Right? So that's the critical step. If this is my new denominator, that means I'm adding this part to the bottom. I have to multiply that to the top as well. And the same thing is going to happen on the other side. Except this time, I'm not going to be using x minus 2. I'm going to be using the other one, 3x minus 1. And that has to happen that way. So in red, you can see the parts that I'm going to be changing things by. So I'm actually multiplying here. And you notice that on the bottom, I didn't actually multiply it together. You can, but I don't, because sometimes we can simplify later. So typically I never multiply my denominators together. The tops maybe, because I have a lot of simplifying to do. So let's talk about the numerator of the fraction. The next part is just basically rewrite the fraction as it looks on the bottom, or on the top of the fraction, right? So what we did was we took this part and I just simply rewrote it. It's got a subtraction sign in the middle right here. So we're going to keep that and bring it down here. This part, it's basically FOIL. We'll take care of that in a separate little section. Okay. The next part is really simplifying the fraction. I've got to look at this and I've got to say, what can I simplify? The top part, this can be distributed into this part. This part is kind of a miniature, a FOIL problem. It's going to be a distribution kind of property. And so the first part's easy. I'm going to go ahead and set that up. I bring down my denominator, and then I go ahead and I put that numerator, and I just simplify that first part. That's straightforward. That's easy. I just multiply, keeping my exponents, make sure I get the signs right, all that good stuff. Now, this part, I'm going to take a little bit more time because I have a couple things to be careful about. Number one, I got to multiply all of that together. So they're simplifying inside of that, and I have to worry about the negative sign, because that negative sign is going to distribute to all these pieces. But first, I'm going to multiply. So we're going to take these two parts, multiply them together, and it's going to look like this. And ultimately, we ended up with these four parts, right? So we come back to this, but these are like terms, so we're going to combine those to get this. I have my expression here, but then we remember we have this negative sign to worry about. So I'm going to put that right here and just multiply through. And you end up with this expression, right? And so it would be all of that, and then I'm going to have to add this piece down here. We're almost done. Once I have this top part, I look at the top part and I determine whether I have common terms or like terms that can be combined into a single term. And I see I have a couple. I have things with x squared, and I have things with just plain x. Actually, the parts with x are going to cancel out. We have negative 4x and positive 4x. So that's nice. Those things they're gone. I don't even have to worry about those. So we'll just kind of mark through those. And then we'll combine the rest into something like this. And we're done. Now, this this part does not factor. This doesn't simplify, and primarily because of that, this part won't cancel or won't simplify, so I'll leave it like it is, and I'm done. And that is how you would simplify a rational expression, or combine two fractions into one rational expression.